Our next question is for Olga and Kateryna. We are so grateful you could be here. And your country is in the midst of a fierce struggle for your democracy. You and Ukraine are on all of our minds and in our hearts. So please share with us how you and your union members are doing first, and tell us what the intersection of public education and democracy mean to you right now. Thank you.
Hello, dear colleagues. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here, really. That is my second trip after the beginning of COVID period and my maternity leave, and I'm really happy and closer. Is it okay? Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep, speak closely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it's a real pleasure to see all of you here. And this day was a bit stressful. The beginning of this meeting for me was a bit stressful, but thank you for this opportunity. And
Try this one instead. It might be louder. It should be on.
is it okay?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
And we, with my colleague, are glad to be here today and to feel this unity, this solidarity with us, with the trade union movement. And I want to say thanks. I want to say that we really appreciate the invitation to be here, and we are grateful to Education International and the American Federation of Teachers for the opportunity to be heard today, to voice the urgent challenge of our time, how critical it is to achieve peace and democracy in the modern world, how important it is to build the world consciously, realizing that every right you received at birth today is a treasure, and to live in a world where there are no destroyed families, destroyed lives, crippled destinies, and destroyed childhoods of our children. The role of trade unions in protecting democracy, people's rights and interests is always very important, especially in a peaceful world. We knew in Ukraine, we knew this earlier, but we couldn't realize how important it is in times when you live in war. When civilians die every day, including teachers, children, students, and we, trade unions, try to continue to defend the rights and interests of educators in such conditions, in war conditions. But our main goal today is how to preserve education, how to create conditions so that children have the opportunity to continue studying. We are not talking about quality education, but they have to continue studying. How they can do this, how they can do this in these conditions. And teachers need to have working places so that they could teach children in such conditions. It's hard to talk about human rights when the right of the whole country to exist is under attack. In Ukraine, for more than a year, all the people, all the institutions, all the trade unions, the entire nation have been united by a single goal: to defend its democracy, to protect the rights of people to live on their land, and to protect the right of our country to exist at all. Today we are talking about democracy, but at the same time the whole world can see an example of a country where democracy is completely absent. By destroying the history of our country, of our Ukraine, by bombing schools, medical facilities, libraries, destroying entire cities, the Russians are demonstrating the complete absence of any signs of democracy in their country and in their education. You know, no one is born criminal. No one is born racist. No one is born a rapist or a murderer. We all know that everything starts with education and upbringing from birth. Every conscious life begins with education. And who each of us has become today depends mainly on education, on our environment and people around you. Purposefully killing civilians, torturing children, destroying residential neighborhoods, civilian infrastructure, using all kinds of weapons for this, including those prohibited by international conventions, is the hallmark of the today's Russian mentality, which has been purposely changed during the last decades by using propaganda, information sources, and education as well. From year to year, decade to decade, the teachers and children were limited in making any choice. They didn't have diversity in making decisions and no access to international social media resources, networks. They didn't have choice to choose. What Russian education sows, the whole world reaps, and every citizen of Ukraine feels the influence of Russian zombie education on her life every day, losing their loved ones, friends, and colleagues. That is why it is so important to foster democratic values, critical thinking, not to turn education into an incubator that hatches eggs of the same size, same color. That's why we fight, and we cannot lose, because if we lose, the world loses. If we lose, democracy loses. And it will show that everyone can enter into your home, into your house, can steal, can rape, can do everything he wants, and he will be unpunished and invincible. And that's why we should win, to show that democracy always wins. Thank you, and I'm going to give a word to my colleague. She will continue.